Hi everyone, Linda Reed-Enever, and it's that time of the week again. It's a Tuesday where we're delving into a Tips Tuesday session to help you look at doing things within your business. Now, I'm pretty excited about today's session because I'm going to show you one of my favorite tools, and that is called Headliner, and how to make some sound waves with the podcast or the audio that you're creating within your business. You can even take video audio and then create it into little sound bites and sound waves along the way. So I am just going to quickly check in on the world of Facebook because we've had a few glitches there recently, and just make sure that we're live there. I've got the notifications for everything else, of course, so that's the way it's going to happen today. I get the notifications for everything else, and then we will start our session today where we're going to delve into the world of making sound waves from your business. Now, how would you use sound waves in your business? I hear you ask. Well, why? I'm just doing the sound check over here, making sure that everything's right. How you can use sound waves is you can look at them from the opportunities of being able to use sound waves. There we go. Beautiful. We are here. Okay, so we're here and we're ready to go. Okay, so how we use sound waves. Sound waves are a great form of being able to use them in your short form video. You can put them through the stories. You can do many things with a sound wave. So if you've been a guest on a podcast, you might like to create a sound wave with your branding along the way. If you are hosting a podcast, you might like to use the automation tool, which I'm about to show you in Headliner, which will take your podcast and create little automation grabs along the way that you can use for Instagram, you can use for stories. If you're starting out in the world of TikTok and YouTube Shorts, there's another good way of being able to put some short form video content out there for you and your business. Now, if you're joining me here today, please say hello. I'd love to know where you're coming from. If you have a podcast or you've been a podcast guest recently, please pop into the comments, and I need to get a sip of water. Put it into the comments where your podcast is and where we can find you. And we will get started. And I was trying to stop losing my voice. And for those of you who are tuning in from lockdown today, our thoughts are with you. Hey, Kathy, how are you this morning? Our thoughts are with you. We are in lockdown alongside you here in Victoria, and we do hope that you are making your way through this process as easily as we possibly can, and I'm sure we're waiting for a press conference sometime soon. Okay, so let's delve into the world of Headliner together now, and I'm going to show you how you can use it to be able to create podcasts. So I'm going to screen share, and once I turn my screen share on for a minute, it looks a bit weird here, so I apologize for that, and then we're going to delve into Headliner along the way. I've got new people joining me. Please, as you come in and join us, please tell us about your business, if you've appeared on a podcast recently, or you've been on a podcast, or you're going to host a podcast. Let us know what it's about in the comments along the way. Okay, so this is Headliner, and Headliner is the tool that I mentioned that I'm going to show you today. And what it does, it helps you create sound waves for your podcast. So you're able to create funky little graphics like this, and it's really easy to use. You'll hit the Get Started Now button, and it will take you through, and it will get you started from here. But we're going to hit the login button over here, and I'm going to log into our account and show you a couple of things that we already have set up. Now, Headliner has some amazing templates all here for you ready to use. So their templates are set up. You can start playing with it and use it from there. You've got an audiogram maker, which turns a clip into a short video, which we'll do very shortly. You've got full episode, which will take your full episode and turn up to 2 hours of audio into a video. So if you've got the audio recorded, maybe even from a speech or something, it's another way. It doesn't have to be a podcast. You can think of different ways to do that. And then you've got the opportunity to create captions, the video creator, so you can create a caption. You can also just do some small advanced little edits and clips along the way, so you can caption a video as well. Today we're talking about the audiogram side of things, and we're talking about the automations inside of there. Now I'm going to show you the automations first, and then we'll come back to an audiogram maker. The automations tab, when you're over here, allows you to be able to add things like your podcast and set it up so that you have automations running. And you can see that we've got some here for our learning style. We've got a 30-second one running, and it just starts to create a little bit of a preview video, and we get to edit and have a look at it from there. So all the videos are created from there. If I wanted to create a new automation, which I actually do for this podcast, we can enter the podcast feed, or you can just create a new one for this podcast in a second. So you've got this one running, you can edit it from there, or you can create a new podcast, and all you've got to do is get your podcast URL now, or you can start typing the name of a podcast. Now, this one is the Course Creator Circle, so I can quickly go in here, and we're searching for our podcast. and it's a lot easier to search. Once you've got your podcast on Apples and all of those sorts of things, it's not popping up. Of course, it's not popping up today. Let's go for my talk podcast. Course Creators Circle is still relatively new, so we've had to do a lot with RSS feeds on that just for the moment while it gets up there. Okay, so we've got my talk podcast with Linda Reed-Enever here. Okay, so we're going to bring it through. It asks us what language we would like to create it in, and we've got English Australia here, so we can click on English Australia. Do we want to make short videos or do we want to make full-length ones? For the purpose of today, we're making a short video along the way. Now, we can let Headliner select the stuff for us. How many do we want per episode, and what's the clip length that we're wanting? Now, I'm going to use these in part of my short form content that I start to put across to YouTube and Instagram stories and TikTok. So I'm looking for a 60-second video here. Do I want one per episode? Yes. And I'm going to let the Headliner AI work its magic for me and pick the best clip it thinks from the episode. So the next button from there. Now, because we're using short form content, we're wanting the portrait video, but you can do landscape, you can do square as well. And sometimes we have many forms of that going through. Here's where the templates come into play, and we get to pick our template out for our podcast. Now, you can have little images like this one. You've got a little box where you're floating around. You can just have the episode art behind it. You'll click away until you find the one that suits you in the style. So there's a couple here. This is my preference because it just puts our podcast up nicely over there. So the podcast name will go here, the episode title will go here, and then over here we've got the opportunity to choose our waveform. Now, this waveform is lovely, but it's maybe not sitting where I want it to sit. I like moving graphs or dots along the way, just depending on what graphic we're looking at, or maybe something a little bit more moving along with us, just maybe a little bit more dedicated there. You can change the color of your waveform. So because this is one of my podcasts, we'll move it to my red, and we will then hit the exit button, and we're ready to go. And that will start our automated process. So our automated process for our videos. So once I return home, it will send me an email when it's got the next podcast ready for talk, and it will send us a video through. And you can see that we've got 13 videos here for different episodes, creating things along the way. However, if you're a podcaster and you want to create, or you've been on an interview, a short audiogram, you can do that too. And Headliner starts for free. You can start on Headliner for free. You don't have to worry about anything from there. So what we might do is we might just head over for a second to Clive's podcast. Actually, let's see where I'm on a podcast. Let's go for a Google search. Linda Reed-Enever podcast. Good old Google search. I know I've appeared on a few people's podcasts. I'm just trying to find one that I might be on. Here we go. Here's my podcast from Jay's, where I've been on Jay's podcast. So we've got Jay's podcast over here. Okay. And we've got the episode here. And this is her Bcast. So this is the little subscriber that we want to. And so we need to open up this one to being able to grab the share. And we're going to grab the podcast URL from here. So I'm going to grab the episode over here. I'm going to hope that this all works for us this morning. And I've got everything that I need over here. Okay, so we're going to go searching. We're going to search podcasts, and we can enter the link. Okay, and we'll see how it goes. No, it's not going to help us from there. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back to Jay's podcast, and we're going to look at the title is So Crisp Podcast. So we're going to pop the title into Headliner and see if it finds us that way. Good morning, Jay, if you're watching, by the way. No, it's not finding that one this morning. I knew that, Jay. Here we go. So Crisp with Jay Crisp Crow. So I popped Jay's name in. I found it. Okay. We are looking for my episode of the podcast, or at this one, we most probably will just, there we go. You've got me. Beautiful. So we're looking for my episode of the podcast, and then it's going to process that podcast. So it's taken the podcast that's on the web, and it's able to process it for us and start to create it. It's going through the things from here, and this will create anything up to 10 minutes. So it's processing. It's just had a slight error loading the waveform. Got to love some technical issues. Let's see how it goes. We might have to just refresh that one. Reload. There's some technical issues somewhere along the way here today. We'll try again. One more. And this is what live training is all about. You get to see the tech issues that pop up every now and again. Here we go. Let's go one more time. See how it goes processing it. It's got an error, but normally you would be able to create a podcast from there. Now, it's not, as I said, this is not one of mine, so I'm not 100% sure if there's just a technical error on the processing side of things, but we'll leave that step for a second and we'll just create a short audiogram from one of my podcasts this morning so that you can see it from there. Now, you can search for a podcast. You can even upload the episode. So if you've had a copy of the episode, you can upload the audio file as well. What we're going to do now is we're just going to go search podcast again. We'll go business conversation. Grab one of Clive's and see if it's going to work for us. Here we go. Oh, we'll search for him slightly differently. Well, we will do the same search, and I love this. Here we go. We've got a Business Conversations with Reed-Enever podcast. Let's grab this one over here. Okie dokie. It's processing that episode. And fingers crossed. We look like we're moving in the right direction now. We're at about 29%. See how we go. 95%. Okay. And now what we can do is we can play the podcast and we can select the audio that we want to along the way. So you can move this along and listen for the right clip. Now, I am not aware of where we would find the right clip in this episode, but you would just hit the play button and from where you want it to be, go from there, select it, hit the next button. This is not going to be a perfect video. Choose how we want to present it. Do we want to present it square? And it starts to create the podcast for us. Now, we've got the opportunity to choose a different template. How do we want to style it? Do we want to move the sound wave? Where do we want to move that sound wave? Now, it's not a great sound wave based on that content over here, so I'd most probably move this one to the dots. And I'd maybe make it a little bit shorter, and I'd maybe pop it up here just under the title on the podcast episode there. So we create the podcast art. If we want to advance the editor, we can, but right now we're just going to export the video. And you can see that it's uploading the audio, it's generating the waveform, it's doing all of its stuff. It's going to add a magic touch to it, and our podcast automation and waveform is there. Now I'm going to stop sharing my screen now and come back to camera and just have a chat with everyone and go, okay, I hope that works from you from there. Hi, Katrina. Welcome this morning. Hey, Kathy. I'm glad to see everyone's here. Katrina's running a podcast guide called Aquatic Mentors. So if you're into swimming or teaching things, she's got a really cool podcast over there as well. So go and have a listen to that one. Okay. There are some ways that you can create a waveform within your podcast. If you are a podcast host like Katrina, then I would strongly suggest that you are rolling out the automation one so that it's automated and it sends you an email and you remember to share those podcast ones, because I remember along the way when we're podcasting here, sometimes we forget those things, and those handy little automations and email reminders work along the way. So I am excited to see if you are a podcaster, what you're going to create with Headliner and what sound waves you might create. So if you're a Marketing Circle member, come post in the group. If you're a Course Creator Circle member, come post in the group and show me the headlines that you make with Headliner today for either the audio podcast you've been appearing on or the podcast you're creating. Thanks for joining me for another Tips Tuesday session. I will be back same time next week, sharing more tips on how you can grow your business and market your business along the way using some tools and some tricks that I know as a marketing strategist. If you are looking to work with me, head to enevergroup.com.au/booking-Linda and let's book a discovery call and let's have a chat and let's talk about making some impact for you and your business. I'll see you again next time. Bye.